Coming up now is a 1979 K model Bedford. Not the sort of truck you'd expect to find at a vintage display day, but when you think of it, there were thousands, and now there are very few left, and they were so popular, especially with the petrol motor, and then they've just sort of disappeared off our road. The first buses to arrive belonged to Mount Dandenong Bus Service, and these would date back, I would imagine, from the late 50s to early 60s, and the very last one of the three is an ultra-modern bus, and which you'd see on the roads today. We had a total of 62 buses turn up, and we're very grateful for their participation every year, and as you can see, they go to a lot of trouble to get them all cleaned up for the day. A lot of work in doing that too. Somewhere between 48 and 53, probably a little half-ton truck with a typical American type pickup body on it. Gleaming Duco on that. Is certainly a lot of effort's gone into that, and here's one looks like it's not quite finished by the wheels, but it's almost there. It's very smart looking too. A 1960s Mercedes bus. Not your average line haul bus, but nevertheless a small good school or charter bus. It has worn out its original 4-cylinder diesel engine and has now been fitted with a Chrysler engine, which I believe is also on its way out, but hopefully we can find a diesel motor to put back in it and bring it back to original specifications. Even though it'll be a little bit slower, at least it'll be as it was originally made. Once again, we have members and their vehicles from the Military Vehicle Corps. A variety of vehicles make this an interesting display, and the members go to great lengths to make them appear authentic, even down to vehicle numbers and their uniforms. On display, there was a Studebaker 6x6, Willys Jeep, Dodge weapons carrier, and many other vehicles. I'm looking at Gregor Rusden's 1972 Atkinson. It's a model T386-8XB for those that are interested, and it's got an 8-cylinder Gardner diesel in it, which, and if you don't know the Gardners, the motor's about 8 foot long too. I think that's what the 8's for. I'm not sure if it's 8 cylinders, but it's certainly about 8 foot long. Now I'll now ask Gregor to tell me a little bit about where he got it from and what it's like to drive.
Well, I got it from the great late Arthur Lang, together with many other of his trucks and bits and pieces. He drove Atkinsons all over Australia, Perth, Darwin. He was even contemplating one trip across the Gun Barrel Highway from Brisbane to the extreme west of the country. But that
there, I thought you were going to say Torres Strait.
No, that one didn't come off, but he drove these Atkinsons in places where very few people went. He This one had just done 4 trips to Perth before Arthur died, and I bought it from him in running condition, and it's got a worn-out old engine that he bought because a haulage contractor in Perth threw it out because it was worn out and replaced it with another engine. And the engine in this gave trouble on the first trip to Perth, so the worn-out one was put in for trip number 2. For trip number 3, he put in another engine that he thought was better, but it turned out a bit worse, so this went in for trip number 4, and it's still in it. But
at that rate, the trips would be far and few between.
Yeah, no, it's a great truck, and goes up hills as quick as it goes down, and very economical.
Is this an Australian-made model?
Yeah, this truck was designed and built by Bert Bevan Davies and Phil Smith, who ran Atkinson vehicles in Australia. The finances of it got beyond them at one stage, and they had to sell out to the Atkinson company in England, and this was built by the company when it was owned by the English Atkinson company, but the cab and the layout of the truck and the style of the truck is the design of Phil Smith and Bert Davies. Bert did the power units and transmissions. They virtually introduced the Road Ranger gearbox to this country, and Phil did chassis design, cab design, that kind of thing. This has the spider wheels, which were, the patterns were made by Atkinson's here, and that was the design of Phil Smith. That front axle, it's a Kirkstall front axle, but with the locally made hubs and wheels. The cab is the most wonderful, comfortable cab. You get plenty of air through onto you in hot weather, and good view of the road. It's a very, very nice cab to drive.
Yeah, they're a beautiful looking truck, this model, and I've got photos. I remember when the first fiberglass cab, or not the first, but that square shape came out, probably in the mid to late 60s, and there were so many of them. I distinctly remember them. They were always fitted with, not always, often fitted with a 6-cylinder GM, and you could always, they were an inline 6, and they had a distinctive note, probably because of where the mounting of the manifold, and not the manifold, the muffler, and you could always sort of pick them a mile away, and there were so many fitted with the GM diesel, and of course, you know,
and the Road Ranger box.
Yeah, and also with the Gardner.
Boxes. Yeah, and they were lower in the cab from the bottom of the door to the wheel arch. They were about 8 inches lower, the first cabs.
That's right. Yeah, I've got photos. Kane and Shelton had a heap of them, and I've got many photos of those. But yeah, that really is a lovely looking truck. Thank you very much, Gregor.
Thank you.
A 1970 Dodge D5N. This truck was saved from the scrap heap by its present owner, Herbie Voigt. It had been a banana back tow truck, so called because of the sloping back on them. I suppose if it was round shape it would have been called an apple, but apple tow truck, but that's the luck of the draw. It seemed the ideal vehicle for Herbie, who's got a beautifully restored Lance Bulldog tractor. It took him 6 months of work to get it to its present stage, which is Herbie was working up to an ideal transport for the Lance Bulldog tractor, which is pretty heavy tractor actually, and the original ramps that came with the truck were certainly not up to standard. So Herbie has had some beautifully made fixed ramps added to the back of the truck, which certainly can cope with the Bulldog tractor. The truck is fitted with a 361 Chrysler motor, and it's running on gas at the moment. The engine had to have quite a bit of work done to it, balanced, driveline replaced, and the truck itself had the brakes completely reconditioned, springs reset, and quite a bit of rust removed. You know, just the normal sort of stuff that comes from restoring a vehicle, I suppose. And the interior has been redone, so that looks like new. It's pretty well complete now. Herbie's still got a little bit of work to do on it, and as a matter of fact, he spent a lot of his time restoring the McGrath dog trailer, which is, I'm not sure what vintage it is, but it's, well, to me it looks just like it's brand new, so that's where a lot of his effort has been put into, and the truck is just about complete. It's been roadworthy, registered, but just a little bit more work to do to bring it back to as new condition, and I'm sure Herbie will have that finished before long.